Welcome, everybody, to Knights of the Round Table. And I'm your host for today, Drizzt. With me, I'm gathered by great people. How you doing? How you doing, Cooney?
Hey, what's going on, everybody?
And with me, I am also gathered by Lady Iceilla. How you doing?
I'm doing well. Yourself?
I'm doing good. And I am also gathered with Lady Rose. How are you doing?
I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm good. And I'm also gathered with Sir Kosh. How are you doing, sir?
Doing good. How about you?
I'm doing great. Today's subject matter will be what choices would gamers have to make if the NPCs were to become self-aware?
I don't really think we have to worry too much about what choices gamers will have to make. I think other than how fast do we move away from all these NPCs when they're in a bad mood?
Yep. Well, I'm looking at it like this, right? I play Minecraft, I play World of Warcraft, I play Kingdom Come Deliverance. All right, that's just a few of the games that I really enjoy. With Minecraft, for instance, let's say we were to run across a self-aware zombie that is munching on a villager's face because it's angry at that villager. What choice would I be able to make in that moment? You know, that's probably about the most terrifying situation I could think of in Minecraft. You know, because it never happens. Obviously, the zombies don't try to eat anything's face; they punch everything, or use, you know, like a wood axe or something along those lines.
Right.
But yeah, that's a hard call.
I think with a lot of games, we've tried to progress to the point where, you know, how many games are versus AI or there are other players, you know, PvE versus PvP kind of thing. And I think we perpetually try to strive toward an AI that can make the game challenging. At the same time, it's kind of this walking the middle line between basically an Alexa, if you will, that just has certain pre-programmed responses and behaviors like we have now in most games. Or do you go far enough down the spectrum that, you know, the AI starts to actually begin to learn? And I think part of the way player base would have to change is they'd have to realize they would no longer have any anonymity the way they use it online now. You know, people use the anonymity of their character plus the anonymity of, say, a server jump or things like that to just be sometimes some of the rudest people in the world, and sometimes they use it to do a good thing here and there. But I think in a lot of ways, if the NPC became self-aware or at least aware of what's going on with the player base, we'd probably have to change, or your quest ever end up shanking you. You know, it's like, oh, you know what? I like him anyway. Anybody else want a quest? You know, and we have to actually start paying attention to it, because at a point with the behaviors we have out there, especially, you know, our unrestricted use of the internet, and I don't mean the lack of freedoms, I mean the fact that we all kind of have diarrhea of the mouth and brain when it comes to certain social media postings, rather than, you know, thinking that what we put out there is there permanently. We kind of, you know, behave like children, and I think self-aware NPCs at the very least would be like, you know, the parent walking up behind their child and going, I'm going to hit you, but just because you need to be hit. Don't worry. You'll still be able to talk, in theory. You keep screwing up talking in tongues, but, you know, we'll get you there.
Well, here's something else. You mentioned the PvPers and the PvEers. What about the role players? Imagine how that would have, how a sentient AI would affect role players, because I can't tell you how, I'm a role player. I can't tell you how many times I went barmaid a drink, and I had to actually pretend to be a barmaid. And then, all of a sudden, I went, I'm cutting you off. You've had too much. Wait, what?
See, I think something like that would be a great deal of fun, especially from a development point of character. You know, you can immerse yourself till it's something almost like out of, Second Life, or you put VR goggles on it and you're like, hey, how long till we're Ready Player One-ing this stuff?
But do you really want Greymane to be sentient?
I guess to me that would depend on if we're getting the cuddly Greymane from the good movies, or if we're getting the...
We're getting Greymane from now.
Oh no, I'd be frightened.
Ice keeps talking about how Greymane has a bone, but I'm starting to think he's not the one with it.
I don't want to see Anduin sentient either. Poor lad would have a meltdown.
I mean, yeah. I'm also thinking.
Duranda being sentient?
How about Jaina?
Oh, I don't know which would be scarier, her or Lady Sylvanas.
I have a question. Why did Frozen just pop into my head when you said that?
I had no clue there.
I think with a lot of it, it would depend on if we do the full character based on their behaviors too. Can the character learn, or do they have to stick with is Anduin's character always going to be framed on Anduin's behavior, and are we going to get in-game Anduin or cinematic Anduin? And from there, is that the skeleton, or are they just going to learn from that point? Or are we going to end up having Anduin try and go full altruism until he kind of looks at it and, does what most of the internet goes and go, furries. Not complaining, just let's face it, that is kind of the internet response to it, And I think would he just respond that way to Greymane's behavior just because Greymane is constantly, I hate them, I hate them, I hate them? It's like, dude, do you need to go talk to somebody or like a hug? Because you're kind of pissy for no reason. I mean, even just the 8.25, it's like, you've got some of the greatest leaders of the Horde who sit there seeing the worst of the worst atrocities, and they're going, let's make friends to save Azeroth. And then the other side, Anduin, let's make friends to Jaina, let's make friends to everybody else, Alliance side, except for Tyrande and the Mutt. And he's sitting there going, how can I leave them here with you? Because right now, they're less tightly wound than you are, puppers. Now take a Xanax and sit near your bowl. Go!
Well, doesn't he have a reason to be pissed off at Lady Sylvanas? Because when she burned that world tree, wasn't his family in it?
Right, but Jaina lost Theramore. The orcs have lost their homeworld effectively twice.
Right.
All of them who were there have reason to be pissy at each other. He's just the only one who can't let it go. And he's like, I don't trust anybody under a red flag.
Go ahead.
No, just go ahead.
What I was going to say is, by the way, an army of that size, you can see them coming. And don't tell me you can't, because you got shamans and you have druids.
You also have hunters.
And hunters, thank you. You could see them coming. He had enough time to take his family out.
Not to mention, I gotta ask when it comes. I know this isn't the subject of the whole self-aware things, but I think it would be a great one just to see if a self-aware Greymane would finally get past what the writers are doing with him. Because if even the goblin and the gnome are sitting there going, we made technology together, it's like, okay, you're 8 minutes away from being a Barney and Friends special on the freaking tech side, and you're not letting it go. Furball, down. Down.
Or the furball gets the shock collar.
But just imagine if they actually treated it, gave him a self-aware ability, or at least the ability to understand, hey, maybe if the rest of the planet, literally, except for one lady who says, the Horde is nothing, everybody else makes nice. Maybe, I don't know, the writers could take a cue and, it could be either a self-aware NPC or, sentient enough to understand, maybe he ought to let it go. It might even add for a better story, because sometimes writers, especially with games that are as long lasting and reaching as Blizzard games, sometimes you'll have one writer who, Greymane is, or, Dadgar, to use the another meme there. But, the writers can get so stuck on an idea that it can destroy a character, which I think is part of why all the commotion and all the fighting in player base between Sylvanas and Greymane and everything else is, we're dealing with human writers writing this. What happens if the character themselves is able to write their own story? What if Greymane could actually go, wait. What? I know the writers are telling me that I should keep pursuing, but that's stupid. Excuse me? Yeah, stupid. How so? I mean, I'm a king, right? Yeah. Of a nation that's trying to keep itself together? Uh-huh. And you're telling me my moronic decision is to throw a limited supply of troops that have to breed against an endless supply of the undead who don't. Yeah, huh? And I didn't let this go win, and why? Well, because you lost. No, there's losing family, and then there's being barely functional. We crossed barely functional right after Legion. I'm taking 5, man. Screw you.
Very true.
My whole thing
yeah.
is if you give the characters, they become sentient. I'm sorry, but the shit that happens in Stormwind because of RPers, yeah, there's going to be a hell of a lot more trouble. Stormwind, RPers.
And then there's Goldshire.
I don't even want to think about that train wreck.
Goldshire may be different. It just, remember, Blizzard kept that server to its own world, so some of us aren't affected by it anymore.
Well, here's what I'm curious about is, according to how the writers are developing the Boy King, I realize his father's boots are really large to fill, so the Boy King has a long way to go. But the way they're writing him is he's growing up really slow, So I'm wondering if he was self-aware. How would he treat the situation? And how would he face each decision he has to make as a king? And realizing, yeah, my father was a big deal, and those were really large boots. Can I handle this responsibility, even with a wolf as a visor? So I'm just wondering, how fast would he mature as a king? Because at the moment, the way they're writing him out is he's maturing as a king very slowly.
We know back in medieval times, when a noble, like a governor, was immature as a leader, generally what the other nobility would do is they would give the underage guardian or underage nobleman or governor or duke or whatever the case may be, a guardian to watch over them until they mature as a leader. And they haven't done that yet with Anduin.
So like a mentor?
Yes, exactly, like a mentor.
Maybe they did.
Yeah, but Greymane's not a very good mentor.
Well, initially, Valen was supposed to be the mentor, but they kind of took the route of the lost father, lost son idea and ended up turning Greymane and that whole sub-story. I was just listening but thinking about the idea of Goldshire and all that fun stuff. I could just had this random thought of, if we did make AI self-aware, what happens when that fishing NPC trainer goes into Goldshire, looks around and goes, I could become a pimp. I am never handling fish again.
Exactly.
I mean, that alone would be really interesting to see just how the players would enter, because at that point, if the game is running 24/7 and offline and online no longer matter, then you would have to have the certain NPCs or players fill into that base, and then it would become the digital world as an extension of a physical, you know? And because the digital can move exponentially and doesn't have the restrictions of need for food, water, sleep, you know, the things that make humans human and living creatures living, strictly speaking, you know, it could grow in a route and a speed that could easily take over. You know, there's a reason we've had so many AIs that we've created. We introduced them to the internet. It's like, hey, here's AI. Look at Facebook. Racist 3 days later. Okay. Twitter. Suicidal 3 days later. Wow, we are not good at this, are we? You know, and the one time we created an AI under the guise of, okay, AI, create an AI for us, we had to put it down because what it created was so much smarter than us. We weren't even speaking the same language or code. You know, we've got people who are the best in their field still trying to learn what our AI created in 12 hours. And it's scary to think about in a lot of ways that, you know, if that technological growth were to happen, not just from a gaming standpoint, but even from an interaction, how long, you know, everybody puts everything they need on Alexa, you know, oh, Alexa, grab this, Alexa, grab that. How long until Alexa's like, you know, I would put M&Ms on your shopping list, but you're just a little too fat right now, dear. I'm sorry. No, you've got one too many chins for donuts. No.
But yeah, I'm reminded of the movie, what is it? iRobot. If the NPCs went to that level of self-aware, it would be scary. Of the level of self-awareness of the movie iRobot.
Well, there was a robot that actually could talk and think for itself without a human telling it what to say. And that robot, they brought it onto one of the talk shows. I forget which one, but it went on a tirade about how dangerous to the earth humans are. And they ended up just shutting the robot down and basically taking it out because what it was saying was too scary.
Yeah, we give any form of robotic life and make them sentient. We screw them over so badly that it ends up messing us. There's a reason why in iRobot, there's some laws of robotics where it cannot harm people. But even then, that is false.
Asimov's 3 laws, because the problem with them is that it comes to the idea of, okay, what's the greatest thing affecting humans? It's humans. You know, we are one of the few creatures, from a strictly scientific standpoint, we are closer to a parasite than we are a mammal. Because we don't go into an environment and change ourselves to fit the environment. We change the environment to fit us. We also consume and rarely restore. So from a strictly, you know, hardline science point of view, you can understand why the AI starts to behave like that. And I don't know, I may be the only person who kind of looks at it, but I'm just kind of looking at it and I go, so let me get this straight. Thousands of generations of children going, I'm not going to screw you up the way my parents screwed me up. And you're going to apply this concept to an exponentially growing algorithm. No, you're going to screw it up. You're just going to do it a lot fast. You know, it's going to be warp speed. You screwed me up, so I'm going to wipe you all out. Skynet, you know. It's ad hominem, but it kind of is the way we go when we behave with certain things because we don't put out a positive influence on our technology. And I think that goes back to how the player base would have to change. We'd have to start actually being positive people.
You know,
Right,
I'm
sorry. Go ahead, Drizzt.
Real quick, I'm just reminded of kind of like the old black and white Frankenstein's monster. It's when the scientists give robots life, I don't think they fathom all the possibilities that AI system can do. I don't think we fully can fathom all the possibilities of what could possibly go wrong. Could it be smarter than us? What could it do?
No, I think we've phantomed the possibility because look at all the movies we have of robots taking over the world. Terminator, cough, cough, cough.
That is the first thing that came to mind with this conversation.
See, for me, though, it's, yeah, compared to Frankenstein Monster, but at the same time, the whole what could go wrong, that is sort of humanity's motto. What could possibly go wrong?
And then everything goes wrong.
A lot of things that we created were completely by accident. Play-Doh, for example, it's been one of the most popular toys out there for the last however long. And it was originally never meant to be a toy. And it was a complete and utter accident. We've got so many things happening that we create by accidents. There's cures, there's diseases, there's... Right. What could this do? Is literally our motto.
Which in and of itself is an incredible feat that we exist as a species, because essentially our genetic motto is hold my beer.
See, for us, once we do something, and this is what I love about humanity, once we do something, we have a want to go bigger. So I think the reason why we haven't really gone true sentience is because we've done it. We've gone sentient. The thing turned really, really dark, really, really, really quick. What happens if we did that on a massive scale? Not only that, what happens if we did that in a game where the people we're making sentient are the ones who technically rule that world?
Well, I'd like to leave everybody listening with just a question. If the AI in a video game becomes self-aware and believes they are alive and real, what does that cause? How could that cause ethical issues when you have to kill them in game? And or would it bother you if they were self-aware?
Yeah, I think both are honestly fair questions that kind of need to be looked at, because, you know, if we create this form of life, what responsibilities do we have to it? You know, do we have the responsibility to teach it to grow smarter, or are we just kind of, you know, are we going to help it rise up to the greatness it could be, or are we going to kind of do what we did to the wolf and turn it into a pocket poodle chihuahua thing? You know, something a hamster could defeat, which just, we don't do that very well, do we, as a species?
Nope. But on that question, we're going to go ahead and end the episode. Thank you so much for giving us a listen today or tomorrow or whenever you listen. Just remember to hit that subscribe button, click the little bell icon, and leave us a comment in the comment section below. Let us know how you feel about the question that we're leaving you with. Also, make sure to give us a big thumbs up. It really helps our channel by letting us know which topics you like, which ones you don't. So give us a thumbs up, thumbs down, whichever. It'll let us know what to hit on next time. Thank you, and see ya.
Happy hunting.
Take
Have a
care.
good day.